AE6JG, sound check.
Sound and good.
Okay, hello, this is KP4MD, and we're just about ready to start on YouTube.
Thanks, Carol. AE6JG. Good evening, this is James, Alpha Echo 6, Juliet Golf, your net control operator for the River City Arc Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arc's members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to join us. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact net control by saying break, break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check in, please come now.
November Romeo 6 Hotel, this is Anders in Folsom.
7 HQR, Neo and Antelope and Anders. I hope you have time to stay after the net. I need to chat with you a little bit.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob in North Roseville.
Alpha India 6 Delta Golf, Joel in Florin, and ditto on the Anders. Please stick around afterwards. Back to net AI60.
This is Kilo Papa 4, Mike Delta Carol in Citrus Heights.
November 6, Whiskey Lima Mike, Bill in Roseville.
All right, this is Alpha Echo 6, Juliet Golf. We have a nice turnout tonight. Anders, November Romeo 6 Hotel, and Neil, Kilo Lima 7, Hotel Quebec Romeo. Bob, November 6, Papa Golf Quebec. Joel, Alpha India 6 Delta Golf. Carol, Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta. And Bill, November 6, Whiskey Lima Mike. Anyone else want to join us tonight? All right. Anders, are you ready to share an image?
I believe I am, and I will stick around after the net. So here's PD 120.
copy, Anders. I will let Neil take over on commenting about more of the detail. KL7HQR, go ahead.
Roger, KL7HQR, very good copy. I don't know the type of transceiver, but obviously a small transceiver sitting on a desktop with apparently a mouse shown, and there is a setting for a 90-degree antenna coming out of the left side. And I don't know if that's one of those KX3. I am not familiar with this type of radios, but very good copy. Few pops, but fairly much hidden by the wooden background of the desktop. You can see the pen adapter type display, and you cannot read any of the things on the radio, but very good copy. Back to that.
Thanks, Neil. Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, it's a very good picture. It looks like a Xiegu, or however you spell or pronounce the name of the radio, the XIEGU radio, and it looks like it's being tilted up on a stand that's in the left corner, and I don't know what the little circuit board is behind it, but it has a BNC connector and a 90-degree turn to a looks probably like a collapsible antenna. Must have an internal power supply, or somebody just took the picture without all the cables and nonsense plugged into it. Be happy to know how well this works and all the information about it. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Joel, Alpha India 6, Delta Golf. This is Alpha Echo 6, Juliet Golf for ID.
Okay, things to add. Yep, good reception, few pops. And I'd like to know what the antenna is, because it's coming out the antenna on the left of the transceiver, a little right angle and going up. I don't recognize what it is. It's not an AX1 from Telecraft. It is a Xiegu X6100. There's something just behind it on the table, maybe a filter of some kind. It kind of looks like maybe coil cap, and maybe that's yet to be attached to the radio, because the radio is obviously receiving a lot of RFI from somewhere, which is a problem with the Xiegu. So either it's a very strong RFI source, or you're getting receiver front end overload from nearby AM stations. So add a band pass or low pass, high pass filter to counteract that. And in the background, those are two hand rests. On the one on the left that's gray is for a keyboard. I'd say the one on the right is not for a mouse, but for a trackball. Back to net, AI6TG.
Thanks, Joel. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, this is KP4MD, and what I'm seeing, Joel pretty much described what I'm seeing as well. I believe it is a Xiegu radio, and you see these 5 peaks in the spectrum with like a Gaussian distribution, a normal curve. And that looks like some kind of interference, because that's not a normal pattern that you'll see on a ham radio spectrum. So I really don't know what that is, some kind of interference. I guess it's possible if you're tuned into a broadcast, a portion of a broadcast band where the signals are equally spaced. You could probably get something like that, but a nice picture, nice clear picture, not too many pixel pops. Back to nets, KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol. Bill, November 6, Whiskey Lima Mike, go ahead.
This is November 6, Whiskey Lima Mike, Bill. Yeah, it looks like a Xiegu 6100 with a nice antenna on it with a heavy right angle to it. Maybe some loading to the bottom there. It's quite wide. On someone's desk, I see a keyboard and maybe a mouse in the background. And like Carol said, a lot of QRM potentially on the actual waterfall of the screen. There's some weird signals going on there. The interface looks a little different than what I've seen of a 6100. So maybe it's a custom firmware running on the 6100. I'm not sure. I don't have one of those radios, but it doesn't look what I've seen before in screenshots. And then the device behind it, I'm not sure what that is. At first I thought it was maybe something with fuses, but I think a filter does sound more correct, but I can't quite make it out. But good picture. And this is November 6 Whiskey Lima Mike. Back to that.
Thanks, Bill. Now I'll comment. That interference, well, it looks like that may be your workbench or your workroom at the office, Anders. And, you know, you have soldering irons and all kinds of test equipment in there and a coffee maker, so I'm sure that's giving off all kinds of interference. That does look like your Xiegu. I know that they have some sensitivity issues, so I'm actually interested to hear, and I see you've added that antenna on the side. I'm interested to hear more about it. So, Anders, NR6H, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. NR6H. Yeah, you nailed it. I think pretty much all the little details were mentioned at least once here. The start from the back. Yeah, not a mouse. It's a Kensington trackball. So that's how I save my wrist working double-digit hours every day in front of the computer. So that's how the hand survives and not getting carpal tunnel all the time. But the little board that was a remain. I tried to clean my desk, but that thing ended up in the picture anyway. That's like you said, a filter. So it's just a DC noise filter. So that's all it is. Just trying to put that in line with some. If I have a noisy power supply or something, I figured I'd test that board and see if it filters out noise from something. But that's not the thing. Of the main object here is obviously the Xiegu X6100. The noise on the display comes from, as you can see, that antenna. It's just a whip antenna. It's one of those telescopic whip antennas. It's fairly long, though. It's I would say probably 6 feet long when you extend it the whole way. And it points straight up here, right next to a bunch of power supplies, LED lights, and all kinds of stuff that's above me on this workbench. So that's what the noise comes from. It's just the way it looks right here. And I just plugged that in because if I didn't have anything plugged in, it would just flatline and the display would be very boring. So this was just to make something happen on the display. That's why I put that antenna on it. And then finally, Bill, nail on the head right there. It's the a custom firmware. So this is the firmware made by let's see what his name, R1CBU. And it's kind of fun because this radio, it's really a Linux computer. That's what it is. So you plug in an SD card with Linux on it, and it's going to boot Linux. It's really a Linux computer with a radio attached to it. So that's what's so cool with this little radio, that you can do all kinds of things that you usually don't do with radios. I mean, some people have run office systems on this. Basically, you can run any little Linux software you want on it. This guy made a custom interface that is a little prettier and a little slicker than the somewhat clunky software that comes with the radio from China. So that's what I'm testing out here. So, and the fun thing is that you remove this SD card and it boots right back up in the original firmware. So this is completely non-destructive, and you can play around with it all day without risking to break anything. So that's what this was. That's what I played with here a few days ago, and figured I'd take a picture and share it. So that's my story for today. NR6H, back to net.
NR6H, AE6JG. Any questions or comments for Anders?
Yeah, this is N6PGQ. I have a couple of questions. Can you tell me, obviously you've had it just a short time. If you like the radio and how much power output it has, what it does for a battery, all that kind of just little bit of technical stuff.
All right, yeah, sure. I've had the radio for quite a while, actually. I've had it for probably approaching a year now, and it's a fun little toy for sure. It's relatively cheap. It's about $600 or $550 or so, and it's got a built-in battery. That battery gives you 7.5 volts to run on, and that only gives you 5-watt output. It is a 160 to 6 meter radio, so it covers all the fun bands, and obviously all the modes. It's got the built-in USB interface, so when you want to plug it into your computer and do any digital mode, that's just a single cable, and do all the CAT and all the audio through that one cable. It's got a lot of features built in. Things like the software. The original software actually comes with a CW decoder. It's got RTTY in there. You can install things like FT8 on the radio itself, and so it's got a ton of features. Very nice display, in fact, much nicer than the display I had on my FT991. Higher resolution and higher update rate. And it is a Chinese radio, so there are quirks for sure, but it's a really fun toy, and I've had a lot of fun with it out in the field, making contact all over the world with a wire coming out of it out in the park somewhere. So, fun toy for sure. Don't know if I covered all the technical details, but that was it for now. Back to Net.
Comments to add on?
Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, it has built-in battery. It doesn't last too long, especially if you're transmitting, but it's a good to play with and to do a few short, quick QSOs. It has heating problems, so the case is the heat sink can get pretty warm. It's extremely susceptible to front-end overload. So, Anders, if you had put a AM broadcast band filter on that, or some sort of filter, it probably would have eliminated all of those bands. Of course, then you wouldn't have been able to have the plug the antenna straight into the radio. It's USB, both what you can plug into it and what can plug into, both what you plug into it and it plugs into. So you can plug keyboard and mouse into it. You can plug your computer straight into it and get your audio and COM port devices appear. It's full-blown computer with Linux, and actually there's 2 processors in there, one to run the radio, DSP and so forth, and one that's learning Linux. It does have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but they're pretty flaky. The antennas for those are inside the case, and the signal is extremely weak getting out, so I'm not sure how well that works. I have seen people that actually load different OSs and run FT8 directly on the radio, on the screen. That's a neat thing. This is a radio hacker's hacking computer because of that. There's very significant, interesting opportunities and things that you can potentially do with it. And what downside I've run into the hard way, I brought out my headphone with the microphone and headphone speaker, both 3.5 millimeter jacks, and there's no headphone jack on it. You've got to use the microphone that comes with it, or probably something. It's probably some other way. I don't. Anders, any comments? Anyway, back to Net AI6TG.
NR6H, do you want to respond?
Oh no, Joel is absolutely right. There's no microphone input. There is a speaker output, so you can plug your headphones in, but not the headset. So if you want to get the microphone in, you've got to patch your way into the RJ45 jack for the handheld microphone there. But that's doable. I've done that, so that actually works also. But yep. And one more thing. It's 5 watts on the internal battery. If you run it on an external power source, it gives you 10 watts to play with. So, I have not really had an issue with the front end overload. Again, the spikes that you see here or the noise that you see here, that is because my antenna is literally 10 inches away from LED lights. So there's all kinds of noise that is right next to this antenna. If I move this out in the room a little bit, this thing dies down right away. So it's not that bad that I've noticed. So anyway, took up a lot of time. On to the next one, NR6H, back to Nets.
Thanks, Anders. Any other questions or comments before we move to Neil?
One more quick one.
No, go ahead, Joel.
I've seen many comments from other people with front-end overload issues, comments about the bands and the noise. So, Anders, you have a good one, and I have a bad one, or maybe it just really depends upon your location and or the radio. I did not find the radio usable until I put a front-end filter, a high-pass filter on it to block the AM broadcast band. So maybe there's a strong station in my area. So I guess your mileage varies. Back to net, AI6DG.
N6KEN.
N6KEN. Hey, Ken.
Yeah, good evening. Like always, I got the time wrong, so I'm just joining here. I do have a new radio I wanted to test out. I just got my 9700 hopefully set up correct, so if anybody has time to receive a picture, let me know. N6KEN, back to net.
N6KEN 86JG, you're on the list. Your sound is great if you're talking through that right now. The sound is fantastic.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I'm excited to see if it works. I got packet working. For some reason, I thought the 10-meter net was at 9 o'clock. So I was sitting on 10 meters for a while until I realized maybe it's not 9 o'clock anymore, or maybe it was never.
I haven't been around long enough to know, but that's at 7:30. No, that's at 8:30, and then we do this at 9 every Wednesday. I'm glad you're joining us. I don't know if you were able to receive the picture that NR6H sent?
Negative. I just turned to the repeater right when you guys started discussion.
Okay, copy. Well, we're about to move to Neil, KL7HQR. Are you ready to share an image?
Pleasure. Good evening, everybody. KL7HQR. Let me test tone first.
Excellent tone.
Okay, let's give it a try. KL7HQR.
Well, Neil, that is a really beautiful picture. I'm guessing you're on the ship near Antarctica. Bob, N6PGQ.
Okay, well, you know me that I can't figure out what the heck's going on, but it looks like you are looking out either a deck or a window, and in the front above Neil's call sign might be the edge of a deck, and then like left side is black and has a protrusion sticking out. But really, really nice clouds, nice water at the bottom, and looks like an island just to the left. So be interested to know where this is and when this was. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Joel, AI6DG.
Yep, looks like a beautiful sight looking out the window, edge of the window, taking up the upper left corner of the screen. I don't see an island out there. I see clouds. And I think that thing sticking out, the protrusion, is the flying bridge. So the bridge is up high and up front, and it goes from one side of the boat to the other. And I guess normally you run the boat from the middle inside of it, of the bridge. But on each side of the boat, they have this thing that sticks out actually over the edge of the boat, so that when they're coming into a dock, they can actually go out there and see where the dock is, and they have the controls to operate the ship from out there. Pretty cool. So that's we could be standing on the very railing of the boat, and that thing's still sticking out. Back to that AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. Carol, KP4MG. Carol, KP4MD. All right, Bill, N6WLM.
This is Bill, November 6, Whiskey Lima Mike. Yeah, it's a beautiful photo of looks like the sea and maybe a sunset. And yeah, there's some type of observation deck overlooking the ocean. It does make sense that it would be maybe the actual command post. And then I see some shadows on top of that overcrop. I wonder if there's people up there looking also out to sea, but it's hard to make them out. But a beautiful photo. N6WLM, back to that.
Thanks, Bill. Ken, N6KEN.
Yeah, this is a great picture. Wasn't sure at first. I thought maybe it was a picture from an astronaut looking down at Earth. But yeah, once the water came up, definitely looks like some type of boat. Great picture. Back to net, N6KN.
Thanks, Ken. NR6H.
So assuming that this is from the recent trip to Antarctica, and if it was recent, that means that this is not a sunset or a sunrise. This may be in the middle of the night. That's my guess. NR6H, back to net.
That very well could be the case. Good guess, Anders. Okay, Neil. KL7HQR, AE6JG. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, KL7HQR. I saw on YouTube that Carol is back. I don't know if she wants to make any comment.
Oh, okay. Carol, KP4MD, do you want to comment on this photo?
Yeah. Is my audio getting through now?
You're really quiet. Before you, if you were transmitting, you weren't keying up. Now you're keying up, but I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. I got to work on the audio level here, but yeah, nice picture. This is the type of a picture that the Skywarn people would quiz you on, the types of clouds, some wispy clouds there, some how do you say, like a herringbone pattern and the clouds in the distance there. And I'm thinking it is also from a cruise ship. So back to nets, KP for MD.
Thanks, Carol. We copied most of that. You're cutting in and out a little bit, and again, quiet audio. All right, Neil, KL7HQR. At first, like Ken, I thought this was from space as well, but then I realized it probably wasn't. Go ahead, Neil.
Roger, KL7HQR. I think everybody got it pretty well. This is a picture, as most of the pictures that I make show, that show sunsets or some beautiful scenes of nature that were taken by my wife. We were aboard the Safari Princess, and we had just left a Falkland Island. We went in, and we saw the show, and we had dinner. And we came, as Ender mentioned, it's not midnight, but it is a sunset on the South Pacific. So we're going slightly southwest, and we were on the starboard side of the ship, and that sunset lasted for quite a while. Very, very impressive pictures. The black line on top left of the picture is the edge of the deck above. I'm on the balcony, and that's the edge of the balcony above us. And up front is the command bridge. And as was noticed, there are people upstairs. The temperature was in the low 30s, and there were people there with a lot of big coats because the wind was, the ship was moving at around 20 knots, so the wind was pretty strong. But it was quite a feast. And I do have some pictures taken at midnight. I'll find videos. I'll see what I can do to put it in next time. But good, everybody guessed it very well. Back to that, KL7HQR.
Thanks, Neil. Any questions for Neil? All right, Bob, N6PGQ, your turn.
Okay, this is going to be PD120, N6PGQ.
N6PGQ, I got excellent copy. I guess we're transitioning a little bit from analog to something with a plug. Let's see. Who should go? Joel, AI6DG, go ahead.
So we're not looking at an object on a desk. It's like a cushion or a chair top or something. It's either leather or fake leather. you can see from the wrinkles, it's not completely flat. When it first started coming down, the first thing I thought was, oh, the picture of the ring from Lord of the Rings, because you always saw was this curved ring thing, and as it came further down, it became more and more obvious that it's a light bulb antenna. So and I can't quite read what wattage it is. I think you can see that it's 130 volt, 120 volt bulb. And the patina on the connector, it looks like it's of a decent age, but I'm curious to see how well this worked when it was used. And actually, has anyone ever analyzed which wattage bulb is the best to use as a light bulb antenna? Does it make a difference? Back to net, AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. Carol, KP4MD.
Is my house my audio now? Is it any?
Maybe you're working on your mic. I'll move to Bill, and then Carol, just jump in when you're ready. N6WLM.
This is November 6th Whiskey Lima Mike, Bill. Yeah, when I first saw the photo come in, I saw the actual connector. I was like, oh, that's a UHF connector, and then it looked like speaker wire connected to it. So that kind of threw me through a loop until I saw the rest of the photo, which looks like a power line connected into a bulb, which is some type of light bulb or maybe an automotive bulb on a leather or cushion maybe. And what I believe this is like maybe a very simple continuity. Maybe you could, on one end, connect this and then send 12 volts or whatever voltage down the line to see if the bulb lights up. If you want to see if your coax is cut. That's my guess. It'd be interesting if it works well as an antenna. That is a nice thought. So that's it's a good photo, very interesting. Interested to hear what it is. November 6th, Whiskey Lima Mike, back to net.
Thanks, Bill. Ken, N6KEN.
Yeah, I seem to remember, it's been many years, that, somebody tried using a light bulb as an antenna. So I think Joel might be right. But, yeah, the tester could be a tester as well. Interested to find out. N6KEN.
Thanks, Ken. NR6H, Anders.
I had to Google light bulb antenna, and that's apparently a thing, so that's very interesting. Didn't know that. I can see Sylvania on there. I can see it says traffic on the top of the bulb and 130 volts. That's interesting. Impedances and how this really works, that seems like high science. This must be one of the occasions where modern technology definitely doesn't work as well as old. I mean, an LED light bulb probably wouldn't work very well for this. So, interested to hear if you made any contacts with this. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, Neil, KL7HQR.
Roger, KL7HQR. Good copy on the picture and the description. Everybody absolutely agreed. And I am old enough to remember using this. We used it as a dummy load and etc. Not so effective. But it wasn't that long ago, if I remember, W6 Bravo Sierra Tom was doing some tests with some, I think they were fluorescent lights that he was trying to broadcast with that. So it's an idea that for a while was kind of fun to play with. Back to net.
Thanks, Neil. Okay, Bob, N6PGQ. Oh, let me just check. Carol, KP4MD. I know that they're hearing you on YouTube, but I can't hear you on the radio. Can you try again?
Okay, yeah, let's try this. Am I coming through on the radio now?
Yeah, you're really quiet. You're like a Q2.5, but go ahead. We'll be able to copy.
Okay, yeah, I changed some of the settings, and I'm going to have to fix that. But when I first got on the air back in 1970, my Globe Chief said to use a 60-watt light bulb, a 60-watt light bulb as a dummy load. And that's what we did. And you were able to tune your plate and your Pi network output quite well into this. And we used to use a 60-watt light bulb. Over.
I copied most of that. You use this 1970 and beyond for testing. Bob, N6PGQ, is Carol right?
Carol's absolutely right. This is how you would tune your radio, and you'd tune it for the highest power output, and you could tell if the power output is going up by how bright the light bulb got. It was up to Tom Schiller to try transmitting with light bulbs, but this is basically a dummy load that you could use as a meter. This particular one is a Sylvania light bulb. Some of you read that. It's a traffic light bulb. My father-in-law worked for Caltrans, and they would routinely take light bulbs out of the signals and replace them at a certain amount of time, and all the old light bulbs went in a box, and so he had a small box full of light bulbs. I don't know if you can read the thing or not. It says on it base down or horizontal, and it's a 67-watt, 130-volt, 6,000-hour traffic light bulb. Swan 350 to do some tuning, and that's the story on this thing, N6PGQ.
That's a really, really cool story. Any questions for Bob?
That's a great dummy load. By the way, how's my audio now?
It's improved. It's a little muffled, but you're...
Okay, thank you. We're working on it.
Thanks, Carol. Yeah, it's gradually getting better. Joel, AI6DG, it's your turn. You ready to go?
PD 120.
No tone.
Okay, let me restart MMSAP. Be right back.
Okay, while you're doing that, why don't I see if Carol wants to send a photo. KP4MD AE6JG.
Okay, did you say for me to send a picture?
Affirmative, if you're ready.
Affirmative. This will be PD 120.
let me see. Who should go? Bill, N6WLM.
This is November 6th, Whiskey Lima Mike, Bill. Yeah, it does look like a waterfall with maybe 3 different levels, green and orange and a red level, and it maybe some type of signals that you're picking up on SDR. I'm not familiar with this waterfall. I haven't seen one like this before, but they're very interesting signals, nothing that looks familiar to me, maybe QRM even, it's hard to tell, but interesting photo, and then there are a few pixel pops, but it came over pretty well for me. N6WLM, back to net.
Thanks, Bill. Ken, N6KEN.
Yeah, this is definitely the Northern Lights. Heard it's very recent. Recently that it's quite active right now. So that's my guess, Northern Lights, and yeah, it's excessive pause interference on that. I don't know if our signal is strong enough to override pause, but pause seems to be super active right now.
Copy, Ken. Yeah, I'm guessing maybe that's what it is. Thank you. Anders, NR6H.
Likewise, a lot of pixel pops. Signal, while listening to the transmission, it was weak and was fading, so that didn't help. But definitely some form of spectrum. Don't know what it is. Can't really see the scale there. So all I can say, it's a spectrum. That's it. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, Anders. Neil, KL7HQR.
KL7HQR. Not much else to add. I have a very, very large number of pixels on this one. And I'm looking at the YouTube picture, and I can see the original. It's much, much, much clearer. I still cannot see the scale in the bottom. But normally I would expect to see that in audio signal when you overmodulate and you go into the red zone, but it's just a guess. But anyway, curious. Back to net.
Thanks, Neil. Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, I can't add much to whatever anybody else has said. It's going to be interesting to see what's at the bottom, whether those are sliders or markers or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to listen and see what it is.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Joel, AI6DG.
Ditto on the severe pixel pops. And I don't have a filtering enabled on my SSTV, so I see every single one. About a third of the way down, the repeater ID'd, and then shortly after that, there was some severe fading. This is all in the lower part of the orange area. Looking at the website, I can see the red is negative 90, the orange is negative 100, and the very bottom of the green is negative 110. So that sounds like a dBm scale, kind of like you would see on an SDR, but I'm not sure if this is SDR or a spectrum analyzer. I do see that little rocket ship yellow icon on the bottom, so that would tend me to think that that's a marker on a spectrum analyzer. But I understand there's a nano SA spectrum analyzer, but I don't know what the screen looks like on those, and I'm not sure this would be it. So yes, I'm interested in hearing more. Back to net, AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. This is Alpha Echo 6, Juliet Golf. Carol, KP4MD. What are we looking at?
Okay, this is KP4MD. Joel got the closest. That's correct. That's a dBm scale on the right. This is a spectrogram from my Kiwi SDR radio. The scale on the bottom goes from 0 up to 30 megahertz. And what it's displaying is the noise floor in my receiver that's being displayed from 0 to 30 megahertz. And if you notice, it's got a number of peaks. Those are not interference at all. Those are peaks of the noise floor where the antenna system is resonant. So it's resonant at 3.5, 7, 10.5, 14, 17.5, 21, and 24.5 and 28 megahertz. It's right on the all of the regular ham bands and pretty close to the work bands as well. That's my 40-meter loop antenna with the tuned feeder. So I thought it would be an interesting display to show. Joel got pretty good clues there just by looking at the dBm scale on the right. That's the spectrum from 0 to 30 megahertz on my Kiwi SDR. Back to Nets, KP for MD.
Thanks, Carol. All right, any questions for Carol?
Hey, I6DG.
Joel, go ahead.
So when you say Kiwi, I think of a website you connect to go listen to other receivers. Are you running one of those receivers? So that, in other words, are you a server?
Yes, I have my own Kiwi SDR receiver hooked up to my antenna, and I've got it set up for 8 channels, receiving 8 different bands, and it's decoding Whisper on all of them. I don't have it available publicly, although I did try that in the past, and I stopped doing it because we were getting some people from, I guess it was the Chinese government, trying to listen to U.S. military frequencies, so I blocked that off, and I'm just using it all dedicated for Whisper monitoring over.
And one of the features of Kiwi SDR software is to scan your system, your antenna?
No, that's not actually a feature. This is just I have the receiver wide open. It's just showing the spectrum of everything that it receives at the same time, and you can listen to any one of those. You can actually listen to up to 8 different spots in the entire spectrum from 0 to 30 megahertz. It's not really testing anything. What it's doing is it's showing the level of my noise floor as it varies over the frequency range. And you could just see the noise floor rises where the antenna is more effective in receiving because of the impedance matching over.
Okay, so this is one receiver, or in flex radio parlance, one slice. That's a full 30 some odd megahertz wide in one screen.
That is correct. That is very correct.
Thank you for that explanation. Back to net for me, AI60.
Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Carol. Any other questions for Carol before we move to Bill?
Me next.
Oh, you ready to go, Joel?
One moment.
Now it's working.
Yeah, I was fiddling with cabling on a microphone, and it became unplugged and replugged, and every time that happens, my audio devices get remapped, and SSTV didn't like that. So just restarting, it picked up the new whatever. Anyway, PD120.
Wow, Joel, I got excellent copy. That's very interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Okay, who wants to go first? Anders, NR6H.
So I'm not sure, but I think we're in Washington D.C. maybe. There's a statue looking almost exactly like this there, and since I was there not too long ago, I seem to remember walking by it. So that's going to be my guess. Very good copy. 1 pixel pop that I can see. So extremely good copy. Good colors, good light, good everything. So clean image. Good resolution and contrast and everything. So yeah, that's what I have to say. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, Anders. Neil, KL7HQR.
KL7HQR, yeah, I agree with Anders. Very, very good copy, very sharp. It appears to be in a park. You have several trees in the background, some sandy soil, and a flat surface with a round base, and it looks like a bronze statue of a lady looking over and caring for a gentleman who is either dead or severely wounded. They're leaning over some rocks. On the left side appears to be a boy looking to the left, and there seems to be another person behind the lady looking away towards the background. But very interesting. I have not seen that picture. I'm curious to know where it is, but very good copy.
Thanks, Neil. Bob, N6PGQ.
I don't have too much to add. The things that they're leaning on might be sandbags. I don't know, it's a really impressive statue. Be interested to know about it, and very few pixel pops. Just very few that you can see in the concrete. N6PGQ.
Yeah, I have some in the lower left of the concrete, but very, very clean transmission, Joel. Let's see, Carol, KP4MD.
Yeah, I just got the bottom half of the picture because I had to restart SSTV. It wasn't feeding the audio to the program, so I really can't add anything. I'll just stand by.
Okay, Carol, I see that. Bill, N6WLM.
Yeah, November 6th, Whiskey Lima Mike, Bill. Yeah, it looks like a statue, some kind of memorial, bronze statue, with maybe a nice cement area where you can walk around it, or that might be part of the statue also, and you can't approach it too closely. But a great photo, not too many pixel pops, and yeah, looks great. N6WLM, back to net.
Thanks, Bill. Ken, N6KEN.
Yeah, good copy. For some reason, it was kind of angled, so it slants a little bit. I'm not sure if that's some setting I'm missing, but all the other ones didn't have this. But anyway, yep, some type of bronze statue, maybe Washington, D.C., maybe Vietnam type of memorial based on the boonie hat on the guy that's in the background. And 6KN.
Thanks, Ken. Okay. Well, I guess we go back to AI6DG. Ken, on the slant, I got that too. That comes through sometimes. I'm not an expert on this software, but the way to correct it is hit sync and then the smiley face, and that seems to fix it. I'm sure others with more expertise will have better advice than that. Joel, before you go, or while you're going, can you advise us on the slant issue in SSTV?
I think you have the answer. It's a timing issue between the stations, and whether I'm off or he's off is hard to tell. If you have auto slant turned on, that should be one of the options. It usually takes care of it unless it's really bad, and that's somewhere in, what is it, options? Geez, I can't get him. Somewhere in options. Options, setup. Come on, open up. Yeah, Wimpy computer. I need to get my old computer online again. It's just not powerful to run as much many things running on it as they do. I've got a zillion as waterfalls running in the background from Smart SDR and WSJTX. I got YouTube streaming the YouTube site, and oops, okay, there's the problem. I've got my worldwide grid running, so that's a distributed computing thing I contribute to, so I'll snooze that again. Okay, so options, setup, and on the RX tab on the right, there's auto resync, auto slant, and some other autos. I have autos, that middle section on the rightmost column, I have all of them selected. Start, restart, sync, slant, decode, FSKID. Okay, let me let it drop. Are we ready for my description of the photo?
We are ready. Go ahead.
So Andrews just nailed it. Darn it, I was hoping to really stump you guys. But yes, this is Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is just small, just completely packed with memorials. Everywhere you turn, every block, you're passing memorials. This is a memorial near the Vietnam Memorial to the nurses who served in Vietnam. Very underserved, very heroes in the background, not heard of anywhere near often enough. So the Vietnam Memorial would be to my left or behind me, probably behind left to me, as I remember. The sun is just setting, so I'm probably looking at a south direction from the shadows. Lincoln Memorial is not too far off to the right, because the Vietnam Memorial is on that end of the mall, very close to the Lincoln Memorial. To the left would be the Washington Monument, and before that would be the World War II Monument. And I guess the mall actually starts after that. Anyway, in front of us somewhere through the trees, the tidal pool and the Jefferson Memorial. I've been to D.C. a couple of times, and it's just amazing. There's so many things to see: museums, monuments. Just my suggestion would be to get a hotel somewhere out of town near a metro line and take Metro in, because Metro works quite well if you get into D.C. and out. Geez, I don't know what else to say. I've been there a few times and loved it. Want to go back again sometime. Back to Nettie, I-60.
Thanks, Joel. That's really, really interesting. Any questions for Joel? All right, Bill, November 6 Whiskey Lima Mike. Now it's your turn. This is Alpha Echo 6 Juliet Golf.
Yeah, let me do a test tone real quick.
Perfect tone.
This is November 6 Whiskey Lima Mike with PD 120.
AE6JG. I have a lot of noise in this picture, a lot of pixel pops, so maybe it's the Beale Air Force Base System again. I do see the antenna with a car attached to it and people standing. I don't know if it's a lake or an ocean. I'm guessing the ocean. Ken, N6KEN.
Yep, that's a good guess. Big old antenna in the center of the roof of that car, and probably a radio strung out onto that bench, and somebody's working a contact on that bench. Back to net N6KEN.
Thanks. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, first of all, how's my audio level now?
A lot better, significantly improved. Still a little better.
Okay, yeah, there's just too many controls here for me. This one I had turned down a little bit. This picture, you can see what I received on YouTube. It's maybe a few dozen pixel pops, of course, in the blue sky. But it's by the side of a lake, apparently, and parking lot over there, some picnic benches. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people standing, 2 people sitting at this picnic table. And the car that's in the foreground has a, it looks like a mag mount antenna that's stuck right in the center of it, and it's and there's a pretty tall whip antenna there. I don't know, it's like maybe 10 feet, if not more, but interesting. Beautiful, bright blue sky, blue water, and green grass. Nice picture, and it looks like a pine tree there right on the left, and also in the distance. Back to nets, KP4MD.
AI6DG.
Yeah, I don't think this is a lake. I think this is the ocean. So this is California coast. Like Carmel. The first thing I saw when I saw those trees on the peninsula was Carmel, 29 mile, 26 mile drive. So I don't know, somewhere along the California coast. Yep, big antenna, so I'm sure they didn't drive around with that up there. I think I counted 8 or 9 people, so I'm assuming that 2 of them are hams and the rest of them are spectators wondering, hey, what's this? What are you doing? And getting a very good explanation of what ham radio is all about. So I wonder where this is on the coast, if it is the coast, and is it a park? Someone doing a park activation? Back to net, AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. N6PGQ. Bob.
Well, Joel got most of it. Quite a few pixel pops. Nice formatting. The tree off in the upper left-hand corner. Quite a few people gathered around a picnic bench. Can't see any coax going to the car, so I don't know if the people there are gathering around just to gather, and the radio's in the background in front of the car, or there's a radio in front of them. We'll find out. N6PGQ.
Thank you, Bob. KL7 high quality radio. Neil.
Yeah, KL7HQ. Yeah, very good copy here. A lot of the pups, but they do not detract from the picture. It looks like a beautiful picnic area with a beautiful view of the ocean. And if it is the ocean in California, this must be in the afternoon because of the shadows, and the sun seems to be going out on the west. And I was noticing, I was looking for the coax myself, as Bob indicated, because everything seems to indicate some activity there in the antenna of the car, but I don't see that coax. But curious to know where it is. Back to that.
NR6H.
I actually think I see a coax. It's really, really faint though, but it goes on the front wheel of the tire of the car there, and then half a wheel with down to the left. It looks like there's a line there going up to the park bench. Really, very conveniently located park bench in relation to where you can park. So ideal place to pack out your gear and set up for an activation for sure. I also got a lot of pops over the whole image, evenly spread. Impressive antenna and maybe a little under-dimensioned mag mount there, but yeah, very cool sight. Love to hear where this was and when. NR6H back to net.
Thanks, Anders. Okay, Bill, N6WLM. What are we looking at here? And are you in this picture?
Yeah, November 6th, Whiskey Lima Mike, Bill. Yeah, I am in the picture. I'm the gentleman sitting down on the bench. My wife there is in the plaid in front of me, sitting on the bench also. I'm sitting there operating the radio. You guys guessed correctly, we are activating a POTA. The other individuals there are some of my friends. We went on a trip to Fort Bragg, which is by the sea. So that is the ocean there that you're seeing. And we're activating, the park is called Russian Gulch State Park, which is a nice state park. Actually has a beach there, so we're able to touch the sand instead of the rocky shore of the Northern California coast. And I'm working the same radio I'm talking on now, but we were doing 20 meters at the time, so that's an FT 857, which you can't see. And the coax runs as Anders guessed, it's from the bench. You could barely see it up to the car, to the mag mount. And then that mag mount is holding a whip that is 17 feet tall, which is 17 feet and some change, which is pretty perfect for 20 meters. No coil, so just straight, just transmitting right into the whip, and it works great. I get out really well. We were able to activate the park in no time and go and do some other activities. And you might have not noticed my 2-meter mag mount is also smaller, further down on the roof. I kind of move it out of the way to give prime location to the big whip. So yeah, we had a great time at the park and seeing the beach and hanging out, and then the next day the weather completely turned on us, so it was nice to have one sunny day before we came back to Sacramento. N6WLM.
Well, that's really cool, and it's neat that your wife goes with you to do that. Any questions for Bill?
Comment.
AS6DG, go ahead.
So first off, it does look like this absolutely amazingly beautiful day, although I can't tell how cold it is. For the antenna, I'm assuming it's acting as a vertical, in which case is the ground plane the car itself?
Yeah, Roger. The ground plane is the car and a portion of the coax as well. So it's a little bit of both. I did notice when I mount this on the ground, so this is my cheating POTA configuration. You slam it on the car and just activate. That way you don't have to really set up anything or any radials. I do also have a mount I made myself just to stake it into the ground, and that needs radials, so that the coax is not enough as a counterpoise. So I think the car actually does help an awful lot to give me the ground plane I need to get out there and get this resonant on that antenna. So it works really well as a mag mount, and it is quite strong actually. I think I might have scratched the roof a little bit on my car. You could tell it's really, really bending in the wind. So the wind was quite strong that day, and I'm glad I had the strong mag mount. I think I couldn't drive with it, but I feel pretty comfortable with just its being stationary. But it was fun times all around. N6WLM.
Hey, Bill, before I'm going to go next, and then Ken, you'll go after me. What did you hit? I mean, you're right by the ocean. You must have had great propagation.
Yeah, we did pretty well. It was mostly East Coast, so we got Oregon, Washington, and a little bit of British Columbia, Arizona, and then the big DX was South Carolina. So that was pretty good. I've done better in POTA activations, so I'm not sure how the conditions were since I was, on vacation. But I was like, well, we're here. We have about a half an hour. Let's just throw it up and see who we could get. And we were lucky enough to get 10 and activate the park. So I was happy to do that in less than, I think it was about 25 minutes.
Oh, all right. That's impressive. I was assuming you'd be making contacts, I guess it depends on the time of day, across the Pacific.
Roger that. That was the hope, to really impress everyone with the radio capabilities. Some of them have never seen ham radio before, so it was nice to to show them how all that works. And you can't see it, but my friend's wife, she's actually holding the microphone and making a contact to British Columbia in this photo, I believe, N6WLM.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Bill. N6WLM. Any other questions for Bill before I send an image?
One more question. So if everybody is there and doing stuff, who's holding the camera? NR6H?
I do have an eighth friend. He's not photoed in this this photo. He's the one who took it, so we didn't have a tripod set up. Unfortunately, he didn't make the photo, but it is a great composition. In the full photo, he took it vertically. You can see the full length of the antenna. I had to actually cut it off to make it in to this small format for SSTV. But someone else, my friend, took the photo.
I was hoping there was a drone involved, but that's okay. Thank you so much. NR6H, back to net.
Okay, any other comments or questions for Bill?
Quick comment. I'll make it during this transmission, in fact. It'd be interesting sometime to figure out how to add some radios onto that. Even though it's on the car, I'd be curious to see whether adding 2 or 3 radios to that in addition to the car and the coax makes any difference either in the matching or in the how far out you get. Back to net, AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. Bill, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I'll have to try that and hook up my Nano VNA and see if it alters anything. Maybe open a door or two to try to get the because when the door closed, probably have some more good connections. So if I start opening doors and adding random wires, it would be interesting to see how that changes the composition of the antenna. But that's a good suggestion. Thank you. N6WLM.
All right, this is Alpha Echo 6 Juliet Golf. This will be PD 120. Okay, Anders, NR6H.
We are back at the beach, looks like here. Long sandy beach and then some ocean behind the beach and a sun. So this is sunset, I would assume, maybe, and a long beach. But where it is, I have no clue. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, Anders. Neil, KL7HQR. KL7HQR. N6PGQ.
Well, I don't have too much to add. We're looking over water at either sunrise or sunset, probably sunset, and there may be some land off at the horizon. Good picture. Quite a few pixel pops, but it's, easy to see them because there's not a whole heck of a lot of detail in the sky and the water. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Joel, AI6TG.
We're looking at a beautiful sunset. Sun just about down. Colored clouds above them. We're looking across either tidal flats or mud flats or very wet sand at the ocean, and off in the distance, a little bit closer on the right than it is on the left, further away, is the break, or where the waves are coming in. So you can see some unevenness and some dark spots where the waves are. Anyway, not too many pops, but you sure see them. And looking at the YouTube site, I see a couple of bars on about a quarter of the way down and about two-thirds down. So I don't have them on mine. That's interesting. I wonder what Carol heard that I didn't. Back to net, AI6TG.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, Carol, KP4MD. KP4MD. All right, let's move to Bill, N6WLM.
Yeah, November 6th, Whiskey Lima Mike, Bill. Yeah, it looks like a beautiful sunset on a beach, and the sand is very wet, which is kind of interesting. I wonder how far in the waves actually crash in. It looks like a very flat beach, so I wonder if that wave comes in, it might get your feet wet. But very nice view. Makes me want to go back to a normal beach and get my feet wet. But anyways, great picture. Not too many pixel pops on my side, so it looks great. N6WLM, back to net.
Thanks, Bill. Ken, N6KEN.
Yeah, I have a similar picture I just took Christmas Day. We were down in San Diego, and we went out to, I think it was Mission Beach, and my daughter wanted to watch the sunset. So, yeah, pretty similar. It was low tide, and the sun was coming down. Back to net, N6KEN.
Thanks. Did we get everybody? I think we did. Anders, I called on you earlier, right, at the beginning?
Yes, sir, you did.
All right. I'm just trying to keep track of my list. All right. Well, we have a friend watching on YouTube who sent me this photo during tonight's net, and I liked it so much. She's a really great photographer, and she's been traveling all over. I said, I'm going to use that photo, and this is a photo that Mary took at Nye Beach in Newport, Oregon. And it's just a pretty picture of a sunset with the wave moving, and, not a lot to talk about other than it's pretty. Any comments or questions? All right, Ken, N6KEN, are you ready to share an image?
Yeah, Roger, I am. Let me try to do a tone first real quick.
I got something, but I'm not sure if it was a tone. Can you do it again, Ken?
Yeah, sure. 1 second. Let me see if I can get CW.
Again, I can tell you're keying up, but I'm not getting a tone or even a Morse code tone.
I think I heard a TV running in the background.
Oh, that I accidentally accidentally clicked on a YouTube. Let me try one last time, and if not, I'll have some work to do getting this 9700. Let me try it right now.
No, again, something's keying up, but you're not transmitting a tone. But we could work on that a little bit after we close the net if you want.
Sounds good. N6KN.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to close the net. It's getting late, so I want to thank everybody who participated in tonight's Slow Scan TV Net. We hope to see you all again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 9:29 p.m. This is James, Alpha Echo 6, Juliet Golf, wishing all of you a good evening. KP4MD.
The YouTube stream is still running.
Right. Carol, can you hear me? Do you guys want to QSY over to the main N6NA frequency?
Sounds good to me. Is Anders still here? Anders, you meet you over on 2 meters.
Still here, QSYing to N6NA.
AS60G, QSY.
Just for those who want to continue the conversation, we're moving over to the N6NA VHF repeater. 145250.
That's a negative. We shut it down, and there was some after discussions. So we're moving that over to the N6NA 2-meter repeater.
Yeah, this is N6. You can stick around for 5 more seconds. I think I figured it out. I'm going to try a tone real quick.
Go ahead. I'm monitoring both NR6H.
No, that didn't work.
I didn't hear any tone either, so sorry about that.
Okay, you all have a very good night. This is KP4MD Clear.
Good night, NR6H, QSY to N6NA.